Welcome to Upshift. In the previous episodes, we were talking about how an organization is coming up with a robust sustainability strategy. However, there was a question asked by many. It was about how you ensure that organization is going to execute this strategy, because most of the organizations have established their strategies. Those are on the boards or the presentation. However, when it comes to ground reality, it is not going to be executed. Therefore, today I am going to talk about single thing that will help you to ensure that your strategy is effectively driven in the organization. We call it as establishment of a robust governance framework to drive your environmental, social and governance strategy. You heard correct. Governance framework. Governance framework support you to control overall your sustainable strategy execution part, so that you will be able to ensure that your strategy is executed effectively whilst understanding the risk associated when it comes to execution and also anticipating certain challenges coming towards you. Having said that, you may be wondering how you are going to start it. First, we need to understand how your organization works. In many organizations, the highest decision making authority is executive committee of your organization or the board of directors. They are the people who are making decisions, but unfortunately, if you are going to assign them to manage entire environmental social governance framework with other priorities, may not be workable. That is why, on behalf of the executive committee of the board of directors, organization is going to set up a governance committee or council, or some organization call it as risk committee. That committee comprises of couple of representatives from your board, and one of them is going to be the accountable individual in the board to execute or drive the ESG strategy. At the same time, you may need to have a couple of experts from your organization. For example, the head of sustainability of your organization may be the expert that you are going to have in this committee. At the same time, you can bring a couple of external resources as well, or the expert from the external team also as a part of this particular committee. Having said that, this committee can be supported with a couple of independent bodies as well. For instance, you can have an audit committee with a leader for the audit committee, so that audit committee is conducting audits to understand how effectively this ESG strategy is executed, and also identifying certain risks associated with the business context is considered. In addition, you can have some other committees like remuneration committee that will help you to ensure proper establishment of the compensation and benefit strategy across your organization. These are some of the committees that you could support with the environmental, social and governance council or the committee that you are going to establish. Having said that, this committee has certain responsibilities. First and foremost, this committee has the responsibility of anticipating the risks associated with regards to non-financial, especially environmental, social and governance aspects, and ensure those risks being addressed properly at corporate level and the SBU level. In addition, it is required to escalate whatever the challenges to the board. The second responsibility is coming up with certain policies and procedures to the organization, so that organization can execute proper governance framework. For example, you could come up with policies like anti-corruption, anti-bribery, equal opportunities and also human rights, so on and so forth. At the same time, this committee is responsible for ensuring proper communication about all these policies and procedures across the organization through the corporate teams as well as SBU teams. In addition to that, this committee is required to meet in a given frequency. Some organizations meet this committee at least once in 3 months. Some may do it once in 2 months. Some may do it monthly as well. The most important thing is, after meeting this committee, while getting all the insights from the respective committees as well as the corporate and SBU teams, essence of it or the outcomes of this particular meeting required to be shared with the executive committee of the board of directors. You could do it once in 3 months. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, once you establish this kind of governance framework in place, there are certain symptoms of the organization. Symptoms in the sense, there are certain characteristics or the practices that you need to practice. For example, you will have proper monitoring mechanism in terms of achieving set KPIs. The committee will review all these KPIs, whether those KPIs are met or identifying certain gaps in terms of meeting, take necessary actions. In addition, committee will determine how your resources required to be allocated, the prioritization of the resources with respect to your strategy as well as the ground realities and also the business context. They will make certain decisions and escalate into the board as and when required. In addition, this committee is responsible for ensuring that your organization is meeting compliance requirements associated with regulatory requirements as well as meeting your clients or other stakeholder needs as well. Having said that, if you could come up with this kind of a governance framework, I am sure in your organization you will be able to execute your sustainability strategy effectively. And if you have any questions related to establishment of your governance framework and also the challenges that you have come across in your day-to-day operations, please reach out to us. Stay tuned.